I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. I swear, for a full 10 seconds, my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. I was standing in her bedroom, in front of her mirror, wearing her clothes, and somehow, they fit. Not just physically. Emotionally. My heart was hammering so hard it felt like it might tear straight through my chest. The dress hugged my waist, soft fabric brushing against my skin every time I breathed. My legs felt dangerously exposed, bare in a way that made me hyper-aware of every movement. I lifted my hands slowly, watching my fingers tremble, nails catching the light. "This isn't real," I whispered. "This is just a stupid bet." An hour ago, I'd been laughing, confident, loud, absolutely sure I couldn't lose. We were trash-talking, arguing over something meaningless, the kind of argument that only exists because everyone thinks they're right. She leaned back on the couch, crossed her arms, and smiled. That smile should have warned me. "You sure you want to do this?" she asked. "I'm sure," I said, without hesitation. Worst decision of my life. Now here I was, heat crawling up my neck, cheeks burning as I turned sideways, then fully toward the mirror. My posture looked different. Softer. My face looked gentler somehow. My stomach twisted with embarrassment. But underneath that embarrassment, something else stirred. Curiosity. My breath caught as I realized I wasn't rushing to take it off. And that terrified me more than losing the bet ever could. I thought once I changed back into my own clothes, everything would go back to normal. It didn't. The next morning, I stood in front of my mirror at home, fully dressed in my usual jeans and hoodie, yet something felt off. The reflection stared back at me like it always had, but now it felt incomplete. Flat. Like I was looking at a version of myself that was missing a layer I'd accidentally discovered and couldn't unsee. At work, I was quieter than usual. "Yo, you good?" my coworker asked, nudging my chair with his foot. "Yeah," I replied too fast. "Just tired." A lie. I wasn't tired, I was distracted. Every time someone walked past, I caught myself wondering how they saw me. Not just as a guy, but as whatever I was becoming inside. My clothes felt heavier. Rougher. The fabric scratched instead of comforted. I kept tugging at my sleeves, suddenly aware of how stiff everything felt against my skin. During lunch, I noticed things I never had before. The way a woman crossed her legs effortlessly. How another adjusted her hair without thinking. The soft colors, the freedom in their movements. My chest tightened, not with attraction, but with something closer to longing. That scared me. At home, the silence was unbearable. I opened my closet and stared at my clothes for a long time. They looked the same as always, but they didn't feel like me anymore. My phone buzzed, breaking the spell. It was her. "So," she texted. "Recovered from your loss yet?" I hesitated. My fingers hovered over the screen. "Yeah," I typed. Then erased it. "Honestly," I finally wrote. It messed with my head more than I expected. The reply came fast. "I could tell," she sent back. "You didn't look uncomfortable. You looked surprised." My stomach flipped. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment. The mirror. The fabric. The way my heart raced, not just from embarrassment, but from recognition. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to push the thoughts away. But one question refused to leave me alone. If it meant nothing, why did it feel like everything had changed? I told myself it was just curiosity. That's the excuse I repeated in my head as I locked my bedroom door one night, my pulse quickening like I was about to do something illegal. The room felt smaller somehow, quieter. I reached under my bed and pulled out a plain shopping bag I'd hidden there days ago, untouched, but never forgotten. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were clothes I'd bought without letting myself think too hard. Nothing flashy. Nothing bold. Just soft fabrics. Neutral colors. Things that felt safe. I swallowed hard, listening to my own breathing, then slowly started changing. The moment the fabric touched my skin, something inside me eased. It was subtle, but undeniable. The clothes didn't feel like a costume this time. They felt intentional. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the hem, smoothing wrinkles with careful fingers. My posture shifted without me realizing, shoulders relaxed, movements gentler, more deliberate. "Okay," I murmured to my reflection. Just see how it feels. I tried walking, turning, sitting on the edge of the bed. Every movement taught me something new about myself. I tilted my head, experimenting with expressions, watching how my face softened when I smiled a certain way. When I laughed, the sound surprised me, lighter, almost shy. For a moment, fear crept in. What am I doing? But then curiosity pushed back harder. I opened my laptop and searched things I'd never let myself search before. Simple tutorials, voice control, body language, styling tips. I practiced quietly, repeating phrases under my breath, adjusting my tone, feeling ridiculous, and then suddenly, not. Time slipped by unnoticed. I sat cross-legged on the bed, still dressed, just breathing, just existing. No expectations. No audience. My heart felt full in a way I hadn't experienced before. It wasn't about pretending to be someone else. It felt like uncovering something I'd buried. When I finally changed back, I felt a pang of loss so sharp it startled me. I folded the clothes carefully, placing them back in the bag like they were something precious. As I turned off the light, one thought echoed louder than the rest. If this is just a phase, why does it feel like I'm finally being honest? The first time I stepped outside like that, my heart nearly burst out of my chest. I stood just inside my apartment door, hand hovering over the handle, listening to the muffled sounds of the street outside. Cars passing. Distant voices. Normal life, completely unaware of the storm raging inside me. I checked my reflection one last time. Nothing dramatic. Simple outfit. Hoodie laid over everything. But underneath, I knew who I was. Just a few minutes, I whispered. That's it. The door clicked shut behind me, and suddenly there was no going back. Every step felt amplified. The air brushed against my legs, cool and unfamiliar, sending shivers up my spine. I kept my head down at first, convinced every passerby could see straight through me. My mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Laughter, whispers, someone calling me out. None of it happened. People walked past without a second glance. A couple brushed by, deep in conversation. Someone held a door open for me at a convenience store, smiling politely. After you, they said, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I muttered a thank you, my voice softer than usual, and they didn't flinch. Inside, my chest swelled with something dangerously close to joy. Each outing made me braver. Late-night walks turned into quick coffee runs. Coffee runs turned into afternoons out, sitting by a window, watching the world go by while I slowly stopped hiding. I learned how to carry myself, how to meet someone's eyes without fear. Anxiety still fluttered in my stomach, but it no longer controlled me. One afternoon, I caught my reflection in a store window. I stopped. For the first time, I didn't feel the urge to look away. I studied the way I stood, the way I moved, how comfortable I looked. A small smile crept onto my face before I could stop it. This wasn't about rebellion, or shock, or even the bet anymore. It was about freedom. But freedom has a price. As confidence grew, so did the risk of being seen. Of being recognized. Of being forced to explain something I was still learning how to understand myself. And deep down, I knew it was only a matter of time before my two worlds collided. It happened on a day I thought was completely ordinary. I was at work, halfway through my shift, when I felt it, that prickle on the back of my neck that told me something was wrong. Conversations quieted as I walked past. Not silent, just softer. Careful. Like people were choosing their words more deliberately. Then my manager called my name. Can you step into my office for a minute? My stomach dropped. The walk down the hallway felt longer than usual. Every step echoed. I sat across from them, hands folded tightly in my lap, trying to control my breathing. They didn't look angry. If anything, they looked nervous. There's no easy way to ask this, they said gently. But, how do you want to be seen here? The question hit harder than I expected. Images flashed through my mind, me laughing confidently before the bet, me shaking in front of the mirror, me walking freely down the street, finally smiling at my reflection. Two versions of myself pulling in opposite directions. My voice caught. I swallowed. I'm still figuring that out. They nodded. That's okay. We just need honesty. From you. For you. Later that day, Someone I knew recognized me outside. Not with cruelty. With confusion. "Hey," they said carefully. "Is that you?" For a second, every instinct screamed at me to deny it. To laugh it off. To disappear back into the version of myself everyone expected. But something inside me refused. "Yeah," I said quietly. "It's me." They studied me for a moment. Then shrugged. "Cool. Just wanted to be sure." That was it. No drama. No explosion. Just truth, standing in the open. That night, alone in my room, I stared at my reflection again, no longer halfway dressed, no longer hiding. My chest ached with fear, but beneath it was something stronger. Resolve. I realized then that the real choice wasn't about clothes, or appearances, or a stupid bet gone wrong. It was about whether I'd keep shrinking myself, or finally step fully into who I was becoming. The next morning, I didn't hesitate. For the first time since all of this began, I got dressed without that familiar knot of doubt tightening in my chest. I chose my outfit carefully, not to hide, not to provoke, but to express. Soft fabric. Clean lines. Something that felt honest. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't flinch. I nodded at my reflection. "This is me," I said out loud, testing the words. They didn't feel foreign. They felt grounding. Walking outside, I noticed how different everything felt when I wasn't bracing for impact. My steps were lighter. My breathing steadier. I met people's eyes instead of scanning for exits. Some noticed. Some didn't. And for the first time, that distinction didn't matter. At work, the tension I'd built up in my mind slowly unraveled. A coworker smiled and said, "You look really confident today." Another complimented my outfit without hesitation. No whispers. No confrontations. Just quiet acceptance, piece by piece. Later, my phone buzzed. It was her. I heard. The message read, "Proud of you." I laughed softly, warmth spreading through my chest. That stupid bet, the one I'd cursed, replayed, wished away, had somehow led me here. To clarity. To courage. I started finding people who saw me without needing explanations. A small community. A chosen family. People who didn't ask me to justify my existence, only to show up as myself. Confidence didn't arrive all at once. Some days were still hard. Some mirrors still made me pause. But now, when doubt crept in, I had something stronger to lean on. Self-trust. I wasn't pretending anymore. I wasn't hiding behind expectations that never fit. I was learning, growing, and standing taller with every step forward. And for the first time in my life, empowerment didn't feel loud or dramatic. It felt quiet. Solid. Real. When I look back now, I don't see a stupid bet. I see a doorway I never knew existed, one I only found because I was pushed through it. Losing didn't take something away from me. It gave me language for feelings I'd never been brave enough to name. It showed me that fear and excitement can live in the same heartbeat, and that listening to yourself is the bravest thing you can do. I didn't change overnight. I didn't become fearless. But I became honest. And honesty has a quiet power. It steadies your hands. It lifts your chin. It turns mirrors from enemies into witnesses. So if you're watching this and there's a part of you keep locking away, out of shame, or doubt, or fear of what others might say, just know this. Sometimes, the moment you're most afraid of, is the moment that finally sets you free.